Howdy, howdy, guys. So recently I was listening to on my podcast, we did an amazing interview with Janet Anderton, and I believe it was episode 24. But it was about death and her interactions with death. And I've always loved talking with her in that perspective. And as I was listening through the podcast, there was one thing she said, which was, you people who have passed away, people who have died, your pets who have died, to envision you get to envision them now. You get to see them where they're at, not where they were, because where they were may have been a place of struggle, a place of pain, a place of sickness. And now they're healthy and vibrant because they are in non-physical, right? Well, my thing is, number one, what happens if you don't believe in non-physical? And I'm not saying you don't believe in God or anything like that, but if you literally have moved away, that there's any such thing as death, that there is any such thing as a soul that comes out of your body and goes on to another, that this body dies and decays. What if that's, you don't believe that? And I start thinking about the fact that, well, then that's great, because now I get to see my pets, see loved ones or whatever in their joy, in their happiness, in their ideal here and now, rather than waiting until they have to die to be happy, rather than waiting until they die to be healthy and pain-free. I get to do that here. And again, I'm reminded this is what I think death is. And I love that. I love that that arose for me today, that I was just like, oh, yeah, well, that makes sense. Because when you move from sickness and you move into health, that is a death, or you could say a shifting of states. It's a death of the sick version of you. And it's all the same, whether you call it shifting states, states of mind, states of being, your I am. Remember, state is always I am. I am sick, I am healthy. I am old, I am young. I am successful, I am unsuccessful. Whenever you shift states, which you do billions of times in a second, it is a death. And one of the things that Janet said in our podcast was how all death is a suicide. And that really moved Cynthia into a wow, aha, because Cynthia, she's not seeing the suicide from the conventional, oh, this is bad, the person did self-harm or anything like that. But no, she saw suicide as in the walking away from the version of you you're done with. You're done with playing with this version of you. Again, is it successful to unsuccessful to successful? Is it being single and now being married? I mean, you're always shifting states, whether you're doing it consciously or you're doing it, I hate saying unconsciously, because I don't believe there is an unconsciously, but we'll just use that as an example. If you're just going around your day helter skelter, not really paying attention, that's fine, because the universe has got your back. And when I say universe, Y-O-U, babes, Y-O-U universe has always got your back. Always, 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 always. Bad things cannot come to you. They just can't. They just don't. There's just, you can, in your mind, you can come up with all sorts of examples because you're that amazing. But this poke your skin on your arm, pinch yourself, this you right here, right now, you're always fine. You're always fine. You're always amazing. You're always fantastic. So you get to, in all moments, see your loved ones as healthy and vibrant and happy. And even if you have the memory of somebody dying, or a pet dying from a space of sickness or pain, you get to change that memory. You get to change that they passed and they were perfectly healthy all the way to the end. My dog that many of you knew, Nikki, that's exactly what happened with her. The very day I took her to the vet to be put down, just minutes before we went to the vet, we went to a park and she got to sniff around and pee and be happy, and then took her to the vet and let her go. There's no rules saying, there's no universe where your pet must be in suffering in order to pass away. And guys, there really is no passing away. It is just you shifting from the state of being a pet owner to being in a state of not pet owner. Again, we always bring it back to ourselves. Always bring it back to yourselves. You might be talking about your mother's death. You might be talking about your grandmother's death. You might be talking about all these, it feels like these beings that were in your life have passed, but they haven't, guys. It's you that has shifted states. You went from my mother being alive to my mother being passed. It's a completely different state. And within that state are all sorts of manifestations. And so you get to play. You're always playing because you're always perfect. You're always perfect. Always, always, always. Again, you get to play with thoughts and so-called memories of imperfection because you're that perfect, because you're that amazing. But you also get to always change. You get to change. I can have the memory that my mother passed away suffering from, maybe suffering 3 years from cancer and all the bad things that happened from her radiation and her chemo. And I can play there. And I can play that when she finally passed away, it was relief for everybody. Sure, I get to play there because I get to. It's like you get to go watch this movie and you get to go watch that movie because you get to. Not because of anything fancy you were doing, because you walked up to the ticket window and gave them money and then you went in and watched a movie. And it's as simple as that. You get to play that these beings that you have created, that have risen from within you, passed away from suffering, or you can change that at any time and just say they passed away peacefully. I have a dog before my last dog that you guys all knew, actually it was 3 dogs ago, who one morning, I was in the kitchen making coffee and I looked out the window and he was circling around and I'm thinking, what's he circling around for? And I go out there in the backyard and he was like hyperventilating and very confused. And I just sat down and he laid down and put his head in my lap and died. Most peaceful, wonderful thing in the world. And again, I can sit here and play in the sandbox of, oh, my dog died, wah, wah, wah. And that is a shifting of states in itself as well. I shifted from making coffee to sad, my dog died state. Or I can shift to a different state. It doesn't have to be sad, my dog is gone. It doesn't have to be. Who taught you that? Somewhere along the line, someone taught you that and you took it as that's how you're supposed to react. But there was a time in your life when you didn't react that way. My grandson, who was 2 years old, if you told him, oh, so-and-so died, he'd be like, oh, okay, and turn around and keep playing with his Legos. There was a time when you knew that death was not the big bad bugaboo that we create it to be. And, we were kind of like, oh, well, he responds that way at 2 years old because he doesn't know any better. Well, no, he knows so much better. He knows so much better. And so again, even though this video's kind of turned into a video about death, what I want to say, what I am saying is that you don't have to wait until then to see whether they've passed away or they're still in your life, to see those loved ones around you in their joy, in their happiness, in their success, in their perfection. I did a video prior to this about you are perfect. And this is on the tails of that. You are perfect. You don't need to play in the state of imperfection. You don't need to. And as long as you do play in that sandbox, that's what you're seeing as normal. That's what you're seeing as this is the way it is. But as soon as you choose to shift states to no, perfection is normal. Perfection is the way it is. Me having unbelievable strength and youthfulness and this and that is the normal. That is what your world will start shifting to. That is what will, examples of that will start pouring into you. It all is right there for you to play with at any time. By the way, this picture, the swan and that amazing background with the stage, that's one of those half, I don't know what you call them, but the half stages where people sit and you have a you're looking at the back of it, and on the inside of it is where the band's set up and stuff, and it's an amazing park in Florida, in Orlando, Florida. And I couldn't have had a better setup for this picture, with a swan in the foreground and the water being still enough that the reflection of the colors is just, again, there's that perfection. There it is. And you don't have to try so hard, guys. You can take it seriously, everything that I talk about. You can take it very seriously, or you can just like you do in your dreams, where it just is, all of a sudden you choose to fly and you just do. You're not sitting there trying to make yourself fly. You're not trying to force it. You're not trying to think about how to fly. You just start flying. And well, I don't recommend that here. Please don't try to fly unless, hey, it arises for you and you can do it. But your perfect self, your friend's perfect self, your loved one's ideal states, it arises naturally on its own. And you don't have to do anything you don't have to focus, you don't have to meditate on it, you don't even have to listen to my videos. It arises naturally for you. Remember, as I always say, you created this video. This video arose from within you. It was birthed into your reality from within you. You manifested me doing this video to bring yourself this invitation. Are you going to say yes? Are you going to RSVP to this invitation and say yes? Sure you are, because you manifested this video. Well done. Hasta la bye-bye.